Volcan Mountain is a unique ecosystem. You know, it goes from about 3,500 feet elevation up to almost 6,000 feet elevation. And there are unique ecosystems within this whole area. And it's one of the few areas where there are still ancient trees that are up to 500 years old that were not killed by the fire. So we want to protect those pockets and all of the wildlife that depends on them. For instance, the spotted owl has been recently categorized as a threatened species. So we need to protect this habitat. We need to protect those trees specifically, but we find things like that all the time. A special butterfly, a special animal, a special plant, an endangered species. And so it just motivates us to continue to protect this area.
We're standing here in an area we call the Sky Island Trailhead. This is a mature forest that was saved from the fires that came through because of the collection of downed material over decades. For more than 70 years, people camped here on a regular basis, and people who camp have campfires, and when they have campfires, they go around and collect firewood. As a result, in the early 2000s, when the fires came through, they didn't gain purchase here. They burned through quickly and low, and they didn't crown up and destroy these massive trees, these wonderful trees. This is proof of concept of the value of clearing out undergrowth and dense and material, overly dense material that's accumulated over the decades. What we're doing is extending the natural boundaries of this remaining forest up onto the hillside where it once was. So one of our practices will be to thin out this hillside so that there's more nutrients, there's more moisture, there's more sunlight put in place here.
We have lots of projects going on the mountain, helping to reset the forest from damage from wildfires. And on my own part, as the education coordinator, working with the kids, that's so important that we get the kids out in nature and just engaging them in how it works, exploring it, falling in love with butterflies and all the wonderful things that that we do with them. We have a beautiful pond now, and we're having so much fun with the kids out there. They're looking for aquatic insects with nets, and it's just like finding little monsters. It's wonderful. And they're just so excited. Even the adults are excited. There's just so much life on this mountain, and we want to keep it wild and free forever and forever for all generations.
The whole idea of preserving this for future generations, and also to counteract climate change. That's one of the most important things we can do, is to preserve all the natural environment worldwide. So we're trying to do our little part. But I think this particular mountain is very special. It has a lot of wildlife that you don't see anywhere else.
The conservation world in general is going to obviously rely on future generations really picking up the banner and carrying forward our efforts. The youth in the next generation are the decision makers of tomorrow. So what we do on Volcan Mountain, by creating opportunities for young people, maybe from communities that don't have mountains or have forests, to experience them, is going to be very important to shaping their worldview and ensuring that future voters and just generally future people are responsible and supportive of conservation efforts.
It's alarming that in this area in Southern California, there has been so much land fragmentation that wildlife, particularly mountain lions, are now interbreeding because they're unable to pass through what would have been a natural corridor to mate. And it's incredibly sad to know this. And all the while, we are making an effort to ensure that their corridors return.
It is a little different from when I first started in that in the beginning we were mostly focused on acquisition. There was nothing that was more important than acquiring the land to create the Volcan Mountain Wilderness Preserve. Now we're involved in so many different things. For instance, we just got a huge grant to do conservation management. Climate change is a big issue for our entire planet, and it's affecting Volcan Mountain as well. We've had numerous wildfires go through, and we have experienced type conversion where the oak woodland conifer forest in some areas has been converted to a sea of chaparral. We'll be planting trees, the Jeffrey pine trees, and we're going to be managing the regrowth using goats. We have a goat herder on board who's going to bring in 50 goats, maybe 100 goats, and eat away the regrowth so that the trees have a chance to reach maturity and become a part of the forest again. In addition to our education program, our acquisition program, and then of course fundraising is always a big part of it too. And we are, needing more money to accomplish all these different goals. We've hired a grant writer, we have a need for private donations. We are most recently getting involved in estate planning. Like I myself have put Volcan Mountain Foundation in my will, in my family's will and trust. One of the reasons why I got involved is Volcan Mountain Foundation had a 100-year plan 33 years ago. And we still are looking, well into the future, realizing that it's going to go beyond our lives.
Hi, my name is Sophia McGovern. I am a part of the San Diego River Valley Conservancy, and I am a student at UCSD studying environmental systems.
Hi, I'm Layla Akhundzadeh, and I've been an intern at the San Diego River Valley Conservancy for almost a year now.
So the Conservancy's mission is to protect and preserve the San Diego watershed, which is 92,000 acres of beautiful land and area that goes all the way from Julian to Del Mar Dog Beach. And our mission is to get people outdoors and appreciating nature and being a part of the greater effort to conserve the natural space that we all live in and partake in.
Yeah, we work with all of our partners, including Volcan Mountain Foundation, to preserve this beautiful land, and it's really a pride to be able to call this land our workspace. I think this is a really special community of people that care about conserving the nature around them, and we're lucky enough to be able to see progress happening instead of regression with urbanization in the area. So it's really special to meet people every day and learn about how they feel connected to wildlife and how the trails and protecting open space affects their lives. And I think the Volcan Mountain area is unique, not only because of the land, but because of the people that are in it and take pride in how intact the open space is.
And it's my dream that Volcan Mountain and the entire range will be protected. It will be even wilder than it is today. And that maybe a species like the California condor, or maybe even the grizzly bear, will have been reintroduced and will be thriving, and it'll be a place where all generations of people can continue to be immersed in nature and to feel the beauty and the peace and the just the aura of this mountain in their soul.